Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome or welcome back, as the case might be. My name is Dalibor Petrovic, and I'm a host to these TechTonic Conversations, a series of live webcast conversations with fascinating and interesting people who have meaningful things to say on topics of enterprise technology, tech innovation, tech trends. I'm interviewing mostly Canadian technology leaders and executives, but also Canadian tech company founders. And today, I am absolutely thrilled to be welcoming uh, an exceptional young man, Kinza Mawji. Kinza, greetings. Actually, lovely to see you, Kinza. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's lovely to have you join the conversation here, Kinza. Kinza is a second year student at University of Alberta and a young entrepreneur who has come up with a very interesting solution to a very real problem. And we know the potential when such things happen, when we have an interesting solutions to an existing big problems. So Kinza, I typically do not introduce my guests because I would do them this service. I much more prefer to have my guests introduce themselves and tell their stories in their own words. So, why don't you introduce yourself, Kinza? Tell us who you are, what you've been up to, and let's talk a little bit of how you came up actually with the idea that is now converting itself into a scale-up map, AI
Yeah.
empowered solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for the intro. I know you could do me justice. But yeah, so I'm Kinza. I'm 19. I'm studying finance and computer science at the U of A, and I just finished my second year, so I'm moving into my third year. So to give a little backstory, I'll start from where the kind of idea of Scale Up Map was born. So my parents are both like quite involved in like the Alberta tech and business sector. My mom is a executive at TELUS, and my dad was a serial entrepreneur turned VC, social impact VC at Scale Good, and uh, and yeah, this idea started really like in my first year of like the summer of my first year of university. I was honestly just looking for an internship or something to do. And I was like, because I was coming off a job in high school of and which I loved to death of teaching like kids how to play hockey at like a power skating school. And
Nice.
I really enjoyed this job, but I thought it was time for me to do something a little bit more applicable for my degree.
Hmm.
And then this all really kind of started when I came across this program called like the Studentpreneur Edmonton Unlimited program. So basically, the way it was described was it was like an internship at Edmonton Unlimited, which is like a startup accelerator kind of thing for the city of Edmonton, and it's a building on Jasper. But this really started as an idea from there. So basically, what that program was it was a program by My Tax, which is like a kind of government grant as well. And it was a total of like 15,000. I think half was contributed by me, but I would give back half, so 7,500 to
Hmm.
basically they would provide like weekly coaching and weekly sessions from like their like experts. I think they're called like um not experts on demand, executive residents. So like the
Executives
people
in
that
residence.
is
Okay, yeah,
executives
like
in residence.
coaches and mentors that are
Exactly.
available to provide. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, got
So
it.
there's
Yeah.
there's probably about six of them that would give us these coaching sessions. So some was on like the first one was like on ideation and problem solving, and then on like pitching and how to pitch your idea, and then on fundraising and competitor analysis, stuff like that. So stuff to kind of coach the next generation of entrepreneurs while
Yeah.
then giving us a little bit of money to go on and start our idea. So this
Beautiful.
program was the greatest discovery ever. It was I had met like a lot of my really great friends and some of my colleagues now even like in this program and it was it
So
was
what's
it was
again, what's the name of the program and who is running it?
yeah, so it's called the Studentpreneur program at Edmonton
Studentpreneur. Neat.
Unlimited, but unfortunately this year they weren't able to recontinue the program. Um
No, but that's fine. What is important here is that with some digging, people can actually probably find similar kind of arrangements in their own cities, probably that like there are things happening like this, and I love the story. Kins actually didn't know this, that there was something like that that got you in to that got you into start thinking about your own entrepreneurship angle. I think that's really good. So there was this community, there was this program that you participated in that was kind of the trigger of this. I love it, love it. Please carry on.
Yeah, so they do have like the student founders program and stuff like that. Just pretty similar stuff. And there's some stuff out of like the every I think major post-secondary institute has something like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
university has like eHub, and they have SIC for the science side of it, and ICE for the engineering department, which are all like kind of on campus startup incubators or accelerators or whatnot. And then like as you I guess like the journey from Alberta startups a lot of the time is they kind of go from the post-secondary, if they start there, to the catalyzer program, and then maybe the CSW accelerator or something like that. But yeah, so I guess once I was in this program, I was doing this full time. Like some of the students were doing like working full time and then doing this program on the part time, which I found super crazy. And and the idea really started by kind of Ashif telling me what his pain points were with like
Mhm.
the startup ecosystem, and we started with an idea of what a solution might look like, but it was mostly just kind of a handoff of like, okay, these are the problems that I've noticed from like the startups that in the CSW accelerator that he looks at, and the startups that apply and scale good. And he's like, I think if we could kind of solve these problems, it would be a great project. And I'm like, yeah, like this is awesome, because like I've always been passionate about like tech and about startups and stuff like that. And I'm like, what better way to start a startup than to start a startup that teaches me about startups? It was pretty fun.
There we go. Excellent, excellent. And you mentioned Ashif. Just for clarity, that's your dad, right? You
Yeah,
introduced that both your mom and dad are active in tech ecosystem in Alberta, and that your dad is now venture capitalist, but social VC, and that it was in the conversation with him as you were in the program that he said, "Look, I'm looking for investments in I'm looking for to make investments in great startups. There is a
yeah.
consistent set of issues, and here
Mhm.
we are that's sort of the identification of the problem, right? that
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
And that's really where the problem started. And it's really perfect, because personally, I would, as a matter of fact, like they tell you, you should kind of have like a close relation to the problem you're solving. But at this time, like when we're first starting, I didn't have the problem. But as I did the company, then I saw all the problems. Because I,
exactly.
I made all like I was constantly still, but repeatedly making these mistakes that I'm trying to I'm trying to build a platform to so people don't have to kind of make these mistakes. And
Mhm.
on the investor side for Ashif, like when we build investment memos. So when we're building investment memos for him, it's been great to kind of put those through his perspective, and we release it when we felt comfortable, because we felt comfortable when he got true value out of these things, and his other investors like got value out of these. The other founders got value of these that he was working on. So that's kind of how we validated that our product was helping people,
It was
because it
helpful, yeah.
yeah.
so
So
so look,
it was a perfect way to do that.
and what we're going to do today is you're going to share with us what actually is the problem, what is the solution, how are you approaching solving that problem, and we are also going to go through a bit of a demo, right?
Yeah.
In the next 30 to 40 minutes to showcase sort of what you've already built and talk a little bit about what is still to come. Where is the vision for what you want to build? So
Yeah.
let's take a look at Scale Up Map.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll start with the quick
There
slide
we
deck.
go.
So yeah, so ScaleUpMap, accelerating startups' journeys using AI-powered insights to basically take you on that journey from nothing to unicorn.
This is super cool. So let me just pause here for a second. So let's go back. So you for audience members, so you're building a platform that is going to be used by startup companies to help them essentially present them with a platform and a model and a framework that will help guide them through the process of becoming a unicorn.
Exactly.
That's
So
the that's what you're solving.
yeah, so we're and like essentially like this by enabling startups, this solves so many other problems just like economically and whatever, because innovation is like is the I believe it's like the most important thing that as a country that we can kind of focus on. But but yeah, like this basically like my vision for this and what we're really building is just a whole platform, no matter where you are as a startup, like if you're ready to raise right now, or if you literally just are a human being without an idea, like I want to make this platform usable and basically take somebody with nothing to somebody with a ton, like somebody
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a real startup, a real venture, and then take that venture to a unicorn. That's
Awesome.
that's kind of my
That's a
vision.
big, that's a big opportunity and a big problem to solve. And obviously, like you are an example of a young entrepreneur with ideas, but ho- ho- what people cannot know without trying it and learning on their own is what are the actual steps required to build a properly functioning, growing, profitable company.
Hmm.
And many people fail because they do not understand and can execute all of these steps in proper sequence. They don't know whom to call, where to get help, where to get advice, where to get money, how to ask for money. And then all the all those steps that successful entrepreneurs have learned the hard way.
Hmm.
What I see you're trying to do is you're trying to create a framework that can teach people and help them through those gates up to the moment where they actually are now running a successful growing business, right?
Exactly. And
Awesome.
and we're like yeah, so we're not just like coaching you to that. We're building an interface so that when you can look back on your previous progress, right? You can look back on where you were when you're ideating, you were when you're solving your problem and validating that problem even exists or whatnot.
Yeah.
But then to show to like to your potential investors or your potential like grantors that you've done all this stuff, you've done all
Yeah.
this validation, you've put your idea like through it basically, because that's what the coach does. It puts you through it.
Yeah.
And then you can showcase, and it's a much better as as an investor, or as if I'm a government giving you a grant, I would love to see that you've done all this stuff to
Yeah. Yeah.
validate
Yeah.
that your
Yeah.
stuff, that your problem even exists, that your company should exist, that you have customers and potential for customers that exist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're the person to kind of to solve it. So then it creates like a basically like a badge, like a combination of badges that like okay, like I'm this entrepreneur, I've done all these things, and now I'm ready for this step. And you, as an investor, if I'm inviting you to come see it, you can come see my progress too, and you can see how accountable I am. You can see how well I hit my goals and stuff like that, because I'm gonna keep hitting my goals because that's just the person I am, right? But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see what's coming next.
Yeah. So to articulate, like the problem that we're looking to solve is that first of all, like there are a ton of like resources out in like our like Albertan startup community, like the Canadian startup community, and kind of everywhere for founders to go and get funding, get feedback, get advice, and get like one-on-one coaching and stuff like that, and even like services like startup lawyers, like for patent services and some like developers and talent and like stuff like that. Like it's all quite fragmented, and there's not one place. There's not one place to find all this stuff. You have to kind of go on a goose chase or whatever. But ScaleUpMap is really looking to solve this by one, putting all these resources in the same place, and two, by making a platform that uses like coaching and our agentic AI to basically solve the problem of like of you don't have a coach, you don't have feedback, you don't have that like real-time guidance, because number one, it's quite difficult to get honest kind of feedback out of a person. Like there's a time and place, but it's kind of hard to get that 24/7 feedback from a person, because like naturally like humans are kind of kind and whatnot. But if it's in a program and a mentor that's sitting beside you, like with the only objective of just helping you get better, it takes you through that, and it takes you through a bit more of of a rigorous process, which I really believe is quite important for a startup to
This
go
is
through.
yeah, this is clearly uh, I think everyone who has thought about or has started a company could recognize what you just described. Of course, there is an ecosystem of everything, but how do you know where to go? How do you know whom to how do you know, how to bring this all together? So I
Yeah,
can not only see the value of your idea as a platform for a startup to find this guide, but there is also a potential to create a whole marketplace around this platform, right? A whole
exactly.
marketplace around this platform with different participants bringing their values into this ecosystem that you're really creating with this.
Exactly.
Very neat. Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So just the three like core pillars of our platform, because like we want to make this at the end of the day, like a marketplace too for startups to find all the resources that they need. Um, and the kind of core I guess the unique value or the unique idea that we've built this platform on is that, okay, like startups don't necessarily have the money, especially at the really early stage, to pay for something like this. So a lot of, and there is competition for this for sure, but a lot of these other platforms have kind of catered to the investor side, or mostly just the investor side, where they kind of believe that the money really is, right? Which is true. Like investors have more money to spend than startups. But the problem with a lot of these kind of tools that I've noticed is that the startups don't even use them. They don't really get value from them.
Mm.
Like they they're not really they're again because they're catered toward the investors and the maybe the government granting organizations or whatever. They're not useful for the startups. That way, the startups have no incentive to fill their
To use
progress
them.
reporting, which both the investors and the grants really care about, is this progress of like how the venture's doing and stuff. But our solution focuses on the coach, which coaches the startups and dates them like goals and stuff. So that way when you're looking at it on the other side of like what's their progress like, the startups not only haven't like they have extra incentive to fill this out because they're actually getting beneficial coaching and stuff, and then they're getting the approval for the grants and service provider and investors or whatever as well because they've done all this coaching and done all their keep track of their progress and stuff. So that's the core idea that we're building this on.
Yeah. And yeah, and through this, of course, you'll be brokering introductions and establishing and facilitating matchup between startups and founders with investors ultimately as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have a couple slides like going through what's on the platform right now, what's on
Yeah.
the platform in the future, but we could just jump into the demo right now even if
Let's do it.
yeah.
Okay, you do what you need to do. I'll let you know when I can see the screen.
All right, perfect.
I love, by the way, the jerseys. And for those who might be watching this later today, June the 4th, this Wednesday, is our first Oilers Stanley Cup Finals game happening in Edmonton. Look at you there.
I'm ex
Awesome.
I am pumped up. All right. 1 second here. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Okay, so this is the actual now live platform,
Yes,
right?
this is the platform.
Okay.
So yeah, so over the course of the demo, I'll be walking you through some stuff that is functional on the platform and some stuff that we're still working on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the full thing. So as soon as I sign up on ScaleUpMap, I see this. I see, am I a
Okay.
venture, am I an investor, am I a service provider? And we like right now, like we don't really have the full login capabilities for like a startup service provider. It's more just like you come in and use the platform, but we'll focus on ventures and investors right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
If I'm a venture and I go and I continue as a venture, it takes me to like a quick form that I have to fill out. And the cool part about this form is when I click on it, like I put in my pitch deck in my website, and then there's a lot of categories that are in our like database for like an investor profile and what that would look like. So what the pitch deck does is, or what the platform does is it takes your pitch deck, takes your website, and then tries and then like autofills all the categories based on what was in your deck and your website kind of thing. So it scrapes both those things and then uses AI to do that. Then once it's done, it sends you an email, and then you can just click update my profile, and if any of the information is wrong, you can change it, and then it auto updates it. But but yeah, just to for simplicity's sake, I won't take you through the login flow or anything like that. But I think that we're gonna start like I'll start telling the story like the full end-to-end vision with the coaching. Because let's say like I'm somebody with absolutely like nothing, right? Like I'm somebody with just maybe even an idea, maybe
Idea.
not even, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's two things. So the startup journey map, which literally like looks like a map. So there'll be like a few other like kind of categories after MVP building because we're working on unicorn. But this whole thing is just in our ideation phase right now. So this coach is not functional just yet on the platform, but we're going to be starting beta testing of this upcoming week. But um, so let's say I'm in ideation, and the first thing I want to do is it takes you through these list of tasks, but the first thing I'm going to do is validate my pain point. So we
Hmm.
have an agent that basically it'll first just ask you a few questions kind of based on like you as a founder. So it asks you like what your kind of goal for like building a business is, like if you're trying to build like a lifestyle business or a unicorn, and then a few other questions based on like your current like kind of like if you're technical or non-technical, and if you're just like what your like kind of risk appetite is for like for starting this company. Like, are you a low risk kind of entrepreneur or a high risk entrepreneur kind of thing?
Hmm.
But then once those like few questions are answered, the agent always builds on its context of you, right? So it always knows, okay, so this founder is in like either they have like a idea with an industry and stage, or they're just like this founder is looking to build a unicorn and this is what their skills are kind of thing. And then when I click like start my pain point, it takes me to like a chat interface, which is just kind of filled with fake data right now, but it takes me to a chat interface, which is just the agent comes in and says, okay, like, hi founder, you're ready to build your pain point, and they'll be like what is the pain point
Yeah.
you're trying to solve? And then it'll help you validate that pain point by searching like if they're okay. So like let's say I'm trying to build ScaleUpMap, like my idea on this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
when I'm testing it, that's how I use it to see if it's useful for me. So I go, okay, agent, I want to start my pain point. So then I tell it the problem that I'm trying to solve, and then it'll be like, okay, like I know your background, I know your experience, like I think you are a good person to solve this problem because of this, or vice versa. If you're not, it'll maybe point you in that direction, and then it'll say like let's uh let's refine this pain point statement and solve maybe these problems with it. So maybe the pain point is a little bit too broad and
Yeah.
doesn't do that, or maybe the pain point is like not targeted towards anyone. It's just like a
So in
something
other
like
words, what you're doing, if I follow sort of the list on the left, these are all steps in essentially building your not necessarily business plan, but refining your business idea, right?
exactly, and it's
So
all
you're
following.
yeah, so you're actually guided by an active AI agent, and it's asking you questions, it's poking you, it's forcing you to go deeper and think from different perspectives. In other words, in helping you sort of enrich and view your business idea and structure it in proper sequence of steps from the initial pain point identification to, as we can see on the left, competitor analysis, market sizing, all of those things that will be really important for you to actually answer, right? To
Yeah.
answer, right?
Yeah, and this is just for the ideation section. So
Yeah.
then let's say so like once the agent is done and you've filled that in, so it saves to your profile, right? Like
Yeah.
okay, like so your goal is in progress, and your task is to let's say it gives you to create these. So it what it does for you is it helps you define based on okay the problem that you're trying to solve, what customers would be having this problem, right? And
Yeah.
then it gives you like okay customer personas, and this is just random kind of just for demo data. But like okay, like saying scale up map, who would have this problem? Well, like founders would have this problem, investors would have this problem, whatnot. Then it builds you your kind of ICP or ideal customer profile. and then
Hmm.
it sets you on with like a task. So it sets you on and the task could be like um, do 10 customer interviews or something like that,
All
right?
right.
Which is
Right. So it
implicitly,
actually guides you on how to.
yeah.
They're very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And I can.
it'll say like okay like it should say like create so the task is to create 10 customer interviews, right? So once that's your task, then you can just my screen is blocked here. You
Submit
can
evidence
submit.
and mark complete. There we go.
Yeah. So you can, if you click this, yeah, you can submit the evidence. So the evidence will tell you, the coach will tell you, okay, the evidence you need to provide is your notes for these customer interviews
Yeah, yeah.
or like whatever you kind of choose to provide. Because the functionality of this evidence is that A, it gives you something to refer back to, right? As just like if you have all your customer notes and whatever in one place, like I think that's helpful. And it gives the agent context to that it knows, okay, what you've discovered in these customer interviews. And then in the future, when you're kind of showing and you're validating these sections to investors. So for example, once I'm done and I've done all these things and my business is a little farther along the way, I can share these modules that I've done and the results that I've found with an investor, and they can, or with a granting provider, and they can go in and see the progress that I've made to validate all my stuff, and it gives them like an additional level of comfort that okay, all these things have been validated,
Have
right?
actually
Like
been done. Yeah, yeah.
they've done
That's
these
right.
things,
So not
and
only are you learning, are you being coached, but by following this process, you're actually demonstrating auditable evidence that you have actually been completing these tasks, and demonstrable findings and results of those tasks are recorded, right?
exactly. And the thing is that these things are not new for a lot of like grants and especially grants, but even some sort of investments and whatnot, because they'll just kind of make you fill out some forms and stuff that are basically saying these things, but then you have to go kind of just dig back into like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I did, this is what I did. But if you had something to just visually show them and just invite them with an email and they can kind of access it, super easy. Like they can see, okay, no need to make this person fill out this form. They've done all these things. And if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need anything else from you, I'll tell you, okay, just fill out this section, and on the platform or whatever, and then you can go do that. But it saves me a ton of time as a founder to do these things because A, I'm getting advice, I'm getting coaching, and B, I'm getting the
But
funding
not
value.
only that, it
Yeah.
provides, so as a founder, and I mean, those people who started businesses know, like this is high stakes. It's busy. There's hundreds of balls up in the air, right?
Uh-huh.
This actually provides a good scaffolding for founders to say, okay, yes, these are the 75 things that I need to work through over the next 3 months,
Mhm.
from basic validation of my idea to helping me understand really what is the size of my market by having an AI enabled agent, partner, coach, mentor who can ask me these questions and then challenge me on my answers, right? And get it all captured and documented. So I have that not just for my sort of comfort and for my business, but also so I can use all this information and what I've been doing to actually go to the investors and say, hey, here actually is my refined idea. Here is my business plan. Here is my, you know, here it's all documented and completed. Now, with more confidence, I can go in front of the investors to ask for investment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you show us that when I know that you actually have automated the creation of investment memos for companies that are on the platform.
Yeah. So like once let's say once I'm a founder and I've done these coaching and I'm like hypothetically because it's not on the platform because right now the platform is a little bit more tailored towards like ventures that are kind of currently trying to raise and
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
that's what the functionality is for right now. But yeah, so the one thing I did want to show quickly was just this my score thing. So for them, for those companies that do are on the platform and they are like kind of actively raising or actively like in that pre-seed or seed or whatever stage. What we do is we try and same framework of setting goals and stuff like that, but we try and score you on a couple different categories using our agent. And then it also like gives you that. So it'll give you like a quick sentence of like, okay, this is your team. Your founding team does this, but but this is what you're lacking. Like top teams have a technical co-founder if you don't have
Mm.
that. And
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
it shows you like, okay, best in class. It'll give you like a specific example because this is just like kind of fake data, but it'll just say like, okay, like you like this is company like okay like you're in this industry like Netflix is the leader in this industry or maybe a smaller company because it tries to compare it industry and stage level but it'll say like this team this is what a fully complete team
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
and then when you go to improve my
It
score it'll
tells you
take
what good looks like.
you to the coach yeah it'll take you
Yeah, it
back to the
tells you
coach
what good looks like. Awesome.
exactly and then it'll take you back to the coach and then put you on a plan to get to the best in class but
Very
yeah
good. Very good.
okay so yeah let's look at the memo right now. So, um, this is my startup account. So as a startup, I can also create a memo. It's pretty simple. I just go to this page right now. My memo's created, um, but I can just view my created memo here. It literally just clicks
Now,
one button, and
for
then
those who don't know what investment memo is, can you just explain what that is?
yeah, of
And
course.
when is it used?
Yeah. So an investment memo is a document typically written by like an analyst at a VC fund
At a
that
venture
would
capital,
go
okay?
and do like a preliminary like kind of report on their findings as an analyst of like how your venture scores and how your venture um, compares at certain categories. So like in the memo, the first thing that it does like a VC assessment. So this memo's purpose is always looking at your venture like a VC would, right? And giving you that insight. So it's a two-phase report where it's coachable for the venture, but it's also very helpful for the investor to kind of go look at and get a better sense of your
So
of your
in other words, in one click with a button,
Mhm.
you are converting the data that the company has inputted into the platform, but also you're going on, if I remember, you also, the system will go onto the website and it's look at sources outside of information that you only put in manually into the platform from your company and create a full investor report. We just saw 25 pages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell us what let's just see like what are the table of contents of what you actually get in the memo.
Yeah. So like the first couple pages are just the preliminary
Mhm.
like overview and then the investor like just at a high level if you're not looking to read all these pages and you're just looking for the quick
Yeah,
like
the
main
executive summary.
insights of the exactly main well just the main insights of the memo then you can go do that and read that it takes about a page but
Yep.
the whole memo like this is the table of contents so we have like how does the company change the behavior and make money like what are the risks of this investment what traction do they have their market and then a big thing is like their competitors and
Yeah.
this memo is like our V1 of the memo but V2 is very focused on scoring and very focused on scoring relative to competitors so
Yeah.
what it does is it goes and first finds the info of like your most relevant competitors and then like at a similar stage in industry as well and then the competitors that are leading the market and then scores you against them and then what it does and we like kind of build this on a philosophy of like treating the AI like giving it tasks like a human would so if we're asking a human like a human analyst to go score a company right it'll give you a score so it'll say oh this company's a 7 out of 10 and this is why right so when we get our AI to do that, we get it to tell you why, because then you can argue like if I'm the one kind of if I'm a second viewer of this memo and somebody a human gives me like this is how I score this company, naturally I
Hmm.
would disagree with it. But when I disagree with it, I would have I would love to see their rationale of how they scored it. That way I can see, okay, this is what their thought process is. That's fair. And then now I'll go give my score. But
Yeah.
regardless, like we treat it like an analyst because that's kind of what it's doing, right?
Yep.
So it's an AI that scores you based on that. And as a consumer of the memo, you can agree, disagree, whatnot, but at least it provides the rationale.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
but yeah,
And so
so
the way you, but the way the, so, but it's also, I think it's important to mention here is that the way you constructed the creation of the memo is by working like 0 degree of separation from the actual venture investment fund. So this
exactly,
is, you've designed this based on what a venture capital investment fund is looking for. And
exactly. That's
you're working closely with actually
scale.
with
Yeah.
with your dad's company that is leveraging this to make decisions on where to invest.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're we've built this working very closely with him. Every iteration has kind of been with
Yeah.
him and been with like some of the other investors in the ecosystem as well as every single founder that we've done this for. We've done I don't even know how many memos, but we've done many, but we've
Many.
always asked them for their feedback and they've always responded really and given us their insights, their feedback on how they see the memo because of course that input is valuable because they knew their venture better than anyone,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing. Like when I'm an analyst, I know the venture, human analyst, I know the venture from like net zero, right? And I'm trying to accumulate that info. But when we have the founders' info to help us with the memo, I think that's a huge
Absolutely.
advantage for us, right?
Yeah. And the benefit for the investor who is looking at, where do they put their next $100 is in, when you have companies standardize the way that they articulate their ideas in a standardized templated investment memo, you can actually more easily compare companies to invest in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the goal, to create a portal where they can easily compare and it's a visual interface, sort of like the My Score screen I showed you, where
Yeah, yeah.
you can easily toggle between ventures and see, okay, this is where they
It's a
kind of
startup
this is how they
investor
compare.
match.com.
Exactly. Like some of the earlier when I was describing the idea, I used the phrase like Tinder for the
Yeah, yeah,
ecosystem.
exactly. That's it.
Yeah. But but
I was
yeah,
gonna say Tinder, perhaps not Tinder, Match.com,
match.
intended for long-term relationships.
That is true. That is true. Maybe
Excellent.
Match.com is the better the
That
better one.
would be better. Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
that would be better.
I'll start
Excellent.
using that. But yeah, I'll show you quickly like so the view for investors. So
Yeah.
in this table, this is just like the kind of test organizations that I have. This one's real, but this one is an investor type organization.
Okay.
So for an investor type organization, I can create as many for my startup. I can create one memo because I just need one. I'm one startup. But for an investor, you can create as many kind of memos as you want using this feature, and it's free right now. So you can, as an investor, you can do this for every startup, right? And then see how they compare that way. And as well, like on the investment hub, you as a startup on the platform, or as an investor on the platform, you can invite startups that you just have their email to come apply so that you have an interface for them for you to manage your kind of active investments and your pending applications and stuff like that. As well as you can invite startups, like I'll go through the pitch competition in a second, but you can
Yeah.
invite startups like on there or otherwhere on the platform that are real life startups to apply for your investment firm, and that way you can generate the memo based on their company as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
I can see like Peter Diamandis could have used this platform for his X Prize 10 years ago, right? Like this is that let's bring ideas with those who have resources to make them real on the common into the common conversation. I love it.
yeah,
Kinza. Very good.
and
And
so
that so what you was just to summarize quickly from the investor's perspective, as what you are logged in as now, as an investor, you will be able to actually see your full portfolio of companies here.
exactly,
And each
exactly,
one you can drill down, and each one you can create their investment memo at the moment and do the comparison. Like this could really be your investor navigation
yeah,
dashboard kind
exactly.
of,
Like
right?
like one place to keep everything instead of like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Google Drive folder, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it's like we'll be working like closely like with like Scale Good and other VCs using this to sort of like because it's just the data is very simple right now, but just any sort of data that they would like to store, like it's pretty simple for us. We
Yeah,
just add
it's
columns and then and then make it refined to kind of their use case.
very
So
cool.
right now, like the big thing, can I go into the competition, Dalibor? Is there anything?
I think this is yeah. Let's go there because yeah, that's I think
Okay,
the
awesome.
next very cool thing to see.
Yeah, so right now on the platform, we're being like contracted by like Alberta Innovates and like ScaleUpGap to host a virtual pitch competition, which is super exciting for like Albertan tech companies, right?
Yeah,
There's like a few requirements like they're kind of planning to raise around either between like now and 2027 and whatnot. But this competition is open to any tech venture in Alberta, and it closes June 30th. So the June 30th is the last day to apply virtually
So we've got
on this
26
platform.
days to go.
Exactly. And like look at the prizes. Like win over $25,000, pitch live at the Venture Forum, investor matchmaking, expert pitch coaching, and a Dragon's Den judge that's going to be judging this thing, as well as a few like other judges in the startup ecosystem, like quite noticeable like investors and stuff. And they're all going to be looking at like your company, right?
Yeah.
So these are the leaderboards right now, and right now it's only open to like public vote. The judges come in when the competition is closed and do their
Yeah.
voting. So the public vote is so out of all like 17 of these companies, the one who scores highest in the public vote automatically gets moved on to the next round. But then the other nine are decided by the judges. That's
Mhm.
kind of how this works. But yeah, so you can come in, like anybody can come in on this right now and score these ventures if you're like
If
anyone
you're
who
interested. Oh, yeah. Okay. I
anyone
see.
who's
I see.
interested. These
Yeah.
ventures can come on
So
and showcase their yeah.
any venture can come in and create an account and set themselves up and enter the competition, is what you're saying. And
Exactly.
ventures have until June 30th to do that. But at the same time, it's open for public to come into the platform, look at those ventures and vote as a member of public, right?
Exactly.
And then eventually, when the competition starts formally, then judges are going to add their scores. But the point being that this is live. It's being used right now to run this competition on behalf of Alberta Innovates.
Exactly. Live right now on behalf of Alberta Innovates. And the goal is that this competition can facilitate deals for these companies, right? So
Yeah.
these companies not only get expert pitch coaching from like the leading investors in Alberta, like the top of the game, they actually get investors, right? Like they're all looking for investment and they get these connections and whatnot. But yeah, so like on the platform, this is just like as a startup. So right now I'm logged in as an investor, so I have the option to invite this venture to apply for investment, which just like kind of gives me a toggle that they'll get an email or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like then I can go click this button to actually score them, can view their other reviews, and this is how their profile is displayed on the platform. So shows their pie chart of their cap table, whatever, right? Just for this is all public, right? But as a
Yeah.
venture, I can hide this information if I need to, like make it private or whatever, just in my settings page. But for the sake of the competition, it's beneficial that it's all shown because all these investors and whatnot would be looking at it anyway, right? But
And
yeah.
now just play. Let's play that movie forward. This is just one competition. But
Mm.
as you mentioned earlier, government is offering grants. This platform can be used by governments at all levels, local, provincial, federal, to assess grants requests, right?
Exactly. So if I'm granting an organization money, I think of it as like an investment, right? Like I'm a government making an investment in this company.
Hmm.
So when I go do this, I can go see like how their score is on the pitch competition, first of all. Second of all, I have a easy display of their data, like super easy for the venture to put it in, super easy for the venture to showcase it, and super easy for me to go look at it and view it. So maybe it saves me a couple forms that or saves the venture like a back and forth of a couple forms that need to be reviewed because as an investor or as a grantor, I can come on this platform, create an account, invite all my like the people that need to be reviewing this venture, right? Like the
Yeah.
the employees of the grant, and then they can come in and score this and stuff like that. And as well as like in the future when we have the coach open, this company can invite the investor to be the coach, and that way they can get that additional level of constant like progress tracking and reporting for them to satisfy their needs. Because a lot of these granting programs, like they need you to fill out your progress and show how the like what the venture did basically in the last few months or whatever. So if the coaching tool is there, it could just curate like, okay, these are all the new progress made on the coach
Yeah.
from this date to this date. This is what you care about. So you can come in and find it and then it saves that back and forth, right?
Very cool. Very cool. Kinza, what's the big vision? Where do you want to take this? Like, how do you see this progressing and evolving?
I I really think that um this could be the platform that every every grant, kind of every investment, everything is facilitated. We're sort of just like done diligence on both sides through this platform because A, it saves a ton of time for the grantor to constantly harass progress reports, filling out forms and whatever. And B, it saves a ton of time for the venture and time, the time of ventures and the time of founders needs to be valued so high in my opinion because I think they're like superheroes, right? Like these people are starting something from nothing and to like kind of not like to block their time with filling out like a bunch of like forms and whatnot. Like I like these things need to be done. They need to be done for sure. So if there
Yeah.
was a better way to do it that saved everyone's time, I
Yeah.
think that that is like having to like gone through everything, like not everything, but gone through what I like my experiences with these things. I think that everyone on every side would really
Would
appreciate
win.
it.
Would benefit from it.
Everyone would win.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that. Yeah.
Fantastic. First of all, Akinza, congratulations on the courage and the grit to take this journey while you're studying. Like, congratulations to you and to the whole team that's been working with you on this. This is very cool.
Yeah.
I think that you are onto something pretty big. What I really so I'll give you a real live idea that just sort of dawned on me. The way things are heading, like across the economy, across the society, the disruption that technology is sort of causing all of us, I think is going to ultimately result in people needing to be much more entrepreneurial individually. That like people ask me, what's your bet? What is the safest job for the future? And I would say it's actually an entrepreneur. It's being an entrepreneur in being able to sort of convert ideas into revenue streams and do it multiple times so you can actually have passive income as there is a risk to the actual jobs in the market that we are now facing, right? So I think there'll be a significant shift from people who are working for wages to the people who are actually entrepreneurs themselves. And a platform like this would be superbly useful um, for those as well, especially that first step that you
The
showed.
coach. Yes. I 100% agree.
Yes, exactly. So you could actually, there could be a module that could be used by almost a citizen to help them explore what are their interests, talents, ideas, match them to the problem, and encourage people to actually start on the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial path and then give them that path to follow, right?
100%.
So this could
That's
be
really
actually
how we're building it. Like to match you with the perfect problem for you to work on, right? Because that's
exactly.
so important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic. So Kinza, um, first of all, thank you very much for sharing this and showing us the demo. Is there anything else that you wanted to showcase before we sort of wrap it up?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about maybe go back to the slide deck to talk about my team really quick and
Absolutely.
help me build everything. But here, it's quite a process stopping and sharing and sharing. Give me 1 second here.
And the studies are going well, I'm going to assume.
I, y- yeah, they're going pretty well. It's summertime now, so no need to
Well, of
talk
course,
about.
of course.
But
Time
but yeah, it's
time
schools
to advance the platform, but soon September comes, right?
exactly. Schools forgotten for now, but we'll worry about it in a bit. But okay, so this is who's helped build it, and I guess like a week ago, like we like our team suffered like a tragic like event. Like the co-founder of our startup, like Bashir, who's been working on the engineering side and like kind of done our whole back end and like as I've worked on this with him as like a junior developer, taught me and most of the team basically everything kind of like at least I can say for myself everything I know about software development
Yeah.
and like we worked every day together, met every day on this. Like he had a full-time job at Vision, like a software company, but every kind of night at 8 o'clock we met, like weekends we worked, like he truly believed, and his belief was just like you said, Dalibor, that startups are going to be the future.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be unicorns startups with a few people on the team, like less than 10,
Yep.
right? Because it's so much easier to create technology now than it was in the future, or it was in the past. And and so much easier just to put your like idea to life, right? So yeah, so like it's like other than like so Bashir is basically like and like we're all kind of we're doing this for him like in his memory because it was just so tragic. But
And so what you're referring to, Kinza, is that tragically and sadly, a week ago, Bashir lost his life in a traffic accident.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So this is truly tragic. And um, what can we say? Life. This is that's part of life. And I'm glad that we are having this conversation and recording this uh, to actually also take a moment and recognize Bashir for the contributions that he has made. Right.
Yeah, like
So thank you for bringing
Bashir
that up.
was yeah, I appreciate like the platform to showcase this, but yeah, Bashir was a terrific engineer, but an even better person, and
Hmm.
taught me like so many just life lessons as
Yeah.
and was like truly like a great friend because we, of course, like having to meet someone like and talk to them work-wise every week and do this together, you need to be great friends, right?
Yeah.
And
Of course.
we were terrific friends. And so was like the rest of the team, like we're all very tight. So Murshad, he's a master's student like studying like agentic AI and health, but at
Hmm.
the University of Alberta. And as a matter of fact, now like Ashif is a co-founder, but just has like an advisory kind of role on this, like
Yep.
is on that side. But everyone else that's working on this venture is a student at the U of A, right? Master's
Wonderful.
or undergrad. So
That's
it's
fantastic.
it's honestly like it's pretty insane that that like a team of students kind of um could come together
This is,
and create any
I think that you are an example of the of what the future holds in Kinza. There is, I think that there is across our industry, across technology industry, there is a absolute trend that founders are younger and younger, coming up with bolder and bolder ideas, and you are an example of that. So, thank you for doing this. Thank you for showing the way to other young Canadians that what you're doing is actually possible, and the barrier to entry these days is so low that it is really a it is practically possible for everyone who has an idea to actually start exploring a business on their own for themselves. So thank you, Kinza, for doing it. It's been a pleasure to have you as a guest and share not just the idea, but something that is actually very real and already used by Alberta Innovates for their first sort of competition of this kind. I look forward to having you back. I look forward to seeing this grow. And, and of course, this will now stay in posterity of the moment that your company was at in this June 2025.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Dalivor, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And thanks
It's
for
been a
giving me the
pleasure.
opportunity to
Onwards
showcase.
and upwards, and have yourself a lovely Wednesday afternoon, Kinza. We'll talk soon.
You too, Dalivor.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.